Order at 5:02. We're going to right to bylaws and policies. So zoning amendment bylaw number 1073, 2024, small scale multi-unit housing, first, second, third reading and adoption. Recommendation that the zoning amendment bylaw 1073, 2024 be given first, second, third reading this 10th day of July 2024. Can I get a mover? Special Councillor Rich. Do you want to talk about any?
Yeah, through the chair. I'm just pulling up the PowerPoint that I walked through at the committee of the whole a couple weeks ago. It's the same presentation and I can present it again since this is our second, third. Hopefully it's not too painful. Okay, so just some history. We had originally started off with the amendments, reviewing the amendments that we had to do by comparing the different existing zones and where we could maybe provide some relaxations and where there were similarities and what we would need to change in order to comply with small scale multi-unit housing. So at the committee of the whole, I'd gone through what we call the red line bylaw, which is just showing the changes that are proposed to zoning bylaw 1000. And so the first slide here is the addition of principal dwelling. And so this was added for clarity. Currently, the bylaw language is unclear when it comes to density descriptions, and we'll see later in the slides. And we've been using the term dwelling too much with no difference between primary and secondary. So we have that definition added for clarity.
This one's just.
It's going on and off, so sorry if you can't hear me. On the next slide, we have just some more clarity added to the definition of secondary dwelling unit. We're just mentioning that secondary dwelling unit is also known as accessory dwelling unit. That's what the province calls it. So for those are the same things. And then in our zone, I guess, legend, or we would update the names of the zones as shown in red there. Okay, so secondary dwelling unit. This is under general regulations. We've bumped floor area, to meet or to not exceed 45% of the principal dwelling. You can't vary this by a development variance permit, so we wanted some wiggle room to make sure that secondary dwelling units will fit, and hopefully that's enough coverage for them to do that. We've added F, G, and H. F is the unobstructed passageway to the secondary dwelling unit. So if you had an existing home at the front of the lot and you're building a secondary dwelling unit in the back, you would need 2.1 meters to get there and 2.1 meters high so that emergency services, if needed, could get through safely with no obstructions. And G is we will be assigning civic addresses to secondary dwellings. And then H, the distance, which is new, we're adding in that the distance between the principal dwelling unit and the secondary dwelling unit is 3 meters. And then for I, that was derived from the provincial guidelines to ensure that detached additional dwelling units don't have shared septic with the primary, just causes issues with shared systems and limited connectivity. So those 4 are added there. Country residential. So minor change we had to do was clarifying density in most residential zones. And right now we have 2 dwelling units per parcel, and further define that as 1 dwelling unit and 1 sleeping unit. And so the definition of sleeping unit in our bylaw may have a kitchen and a bathroom. And for the province, the definition must have a kitchen and a bathroom. So now we're saying that the density is still 2. However, you can have a combo of a principal and an accessory dwelling unit, or a principal and a secondary dwelling unit. So we're removing that sleeping unit language. And then this is where we start to see the setback relaxations to give some wiggle room on lots for accessory dwelling units. Here we're going 6 meters to 5 meters in the front setback facing roads. And then the rear is 5 meters to 4 meters. So we're still maintaining some good setbacks from other properties and the roads, but allowing a little bit of relaxation so we can get in some extra housing without having to keep doing variances. Okay, R1. So added clarity in the zone too. So here we've increased max parcel coverage to 50%. to reduce any kind of requests that we might get, to be able to have secondary dwelling units. Increase the height to 11 meters to add room for 3-story townhouses. One floor is about 3 meters and 3 floors 9 meters. And then with the roof, we got some wiggle room in there just to make sure that those townhouses can fit. And then there's a change in some setbacks for both primary and accessory uses. R2 is the Parksville strata. So minor changes, again, for clarity, defined 2 as maximum number of dwelling units, and that means 1 principal dwelling unit and 1 secondary suite. There's no accessory dwelling units in this zone because there's no room on those smaller parcels. And then up to the parcel coverage, it might not have the accessory dwelling unit, but with some suites that can take up space in the home. We're just looking for some more room there for the building. Height went to 11 as well to match the other zone, and some setback relaxations. Mobile homes, so minor changes again for clarity. We're removing the sleeping unit language and better defining what you're already allowed to have in this zone. Increased the coverage and the height was increased, likely for a single unit dwelling that's already permitted in this zone, and a rear setback relaxation. Okay, so for hillside, which is mostly the view, hillside or steep slope areas are typically exempt from these provincial requirements, like increasing the density. However, we needed some clarity because we've defined what the 2-unit combo can look like, and that's 1 principal and 1 secondary dwelling unit. There's no additional dwelling units in this because there's no room, just based on topography. We didn't touch parcel coverage because we want to think about that a bit more at a later revision, thinking about that topography, and then increase the height to match the other zones. Okay, R5, Old Town. So added clarity around the density, maximum height and setback relaxation. Added in the general regulations for R5 that a secondary suite is not permitted in a 2-unit and multi-unit dwelling, just based on capacity issues for sewer and water. We can overcome that at a later date, and that's probably going to be a revision once that gets sorted. And then another note on here, which we didn't talk about at the committee of the whole, but was included in the changes. We noticed that the R5 zone had an interior side setback of just 0 meters. Which probably isn't acceptable. So we went back, and that was supposed to read 0 meters. If there was a party wall, so the setback has been established as 1.5. Okay, next slide. So yeah, today we're looking at 1, 2, 3 readings, and then later adoption, hopefully. And we've advertised for no public hearing. It was prohibited under these provincial regulations. We still need to review the other bylaws. That's upcoming. And we've been getting a lot of download from the province on the OCP requirements that we are required to include in the OCP by December 31st, 2025. So that is coming. This is the first step in a bunch of housing amendments. Okay.
Council, any questions? No questions, no comments. I'm going to toss my 2 cents in. And I want to thank staff for doing a great job and doing all this, because it literally is being downloaded to us. My fear with this is we lose a sense of community. My fear is that we're losing teachers right now, and we're bringing more folks and more housing in. Our education system, our healthcare system, our infrastructure, our parking. I don't know how this bill, formerly Bill 44, can blanket communities. So having said that, I'm not in favor, but definitely council has, we're gonna vote on moving this forward. So anyone else? Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Okay, thank you. Okay, the next one is recommendation that zoning amendment bylaw number 1073/2024 be adopted this tenth day of July, 2024. Can I get a mover? Counselor Busher, Counselor Rich. This is part of the presentation.
It's through the chair. On the wrong slides. Is it moving?
There we go.
Couple more.
One more.
There we go. Okay, yeah, so
This is the development variance permit for 425 Main Street. They've already received the development permit, and now we're talking about what we need to vary in the bylaw. So the property is currently designated town center in the OCP. Sorry, Bianca. And then it's zoned, fully zoned C1 town center commercial. They recently went through the rezoning to address the slip zoning, and we're sitting at 1. So I think everyone knows, but just as a reminder, the proposal as a whole is the 5-story mixed-use building and 2 garage or storage spaces at the south end of the property. So the variances, there's 5 of them. And I'll go through on the next slide what each one of these are.
tiny font. Okay,
So for 3A, the width of a landscape buffer area to be relaxed from the required 3 meters to 1.5 meters. And so this is on the southwest property line, the southern property line, and the east-western, or the south, the southeasterly property line. I don't know if you can zoom in and out, Bianca. Sorry, I want to make sure we get these right. Thank you. So 3A is in 3 different spots on the property. Thank you. Okay, so that was from 3 meters to 1.5 meters. So there is still a landscape buffer area there. But for 3B, which is a little bit higher there, Bianca, the width of a landscape buffer area to be relaxed from the required 3 meters to 0 meters. And so that's from Main Street down to approximately the storage building. And the reason for the relaxation is to have the maximum width for the access for emergency vehicles, but also allowing the building to be pushed to the west a bit so that we have 3 meters for a statutory right-of-way for a pathway along the eastern property line. So in order to do that, we needed the relaxation from 3 meters to 0 meters in that one section. And then for 3C, which is, yep, thanks. The width of the landscape buffer area to be relaxed from the required 3 meters to 2.05 meters. That's the front.
Mhm.
Okay, and then on the next slide, oh, I don't see the
image on there.
No, it should be the profiles of the building. Do you happen to have the staff report just to see?
Yep.
The next 2 relaxations have to do with the building massing. And so there's 2 there. Just while you pull it up there, mind.
Yeah, those
Drawings,
So the top,
image. We're doing the relaxation of the setback from the required 8.27 meters, which is quite large, but it is a tall building, to a proposed 3.61 meters. And that's on the eastern side of the property line. So that 3.61 will house that statutory right-of-way area. And then on the next image below, the last relaxation is for the setback from the required 6.96 meters to 1.09 meters. And this is the front Main Street setback. I think that is the last slide, but I wanted to mention that we are required to advertise these variances, and we did have people come in and mostly curious about the project, asking about fencing and what does this mean for them. And we also heard from the developer that they may actually have some changes in the proposed variances. We'd already advertised these variances, the 5. So it was too late to cancel the notice that went out. So what we're proposing is that these variances be reviewed tonight. It could be a yes or a no. And then there may be another application coming for a different variance. And it sounds like, I wasn't too involved in it, but maybe varying what the front will look like. Possibly not the side where the walkway is, but there may be another variance coming. I don't know what that looks like.
Okay. So there's a recommendation that council authorize the district of Sycamore to issue development variance permit number 26-076-DBP to permit the development of a 55-unit housing project with commercial component for the property legally described as Lot C District, Lot 452, Kamloops Division, Yale District Plan, EPP 130290425 Main Street. Could I get a mover? Councillor Bushel, Councillor Beach. Does council want to discuss any comments? Councillor Bush.
Yeah, through the chair, Nicole, with the variances, would we know about the variances before it come to the open house? No?
Through the chair, I feel like they probably have a pretty good idea of what the variances are. The developers on the line, if they could maybe answer that, we would know those before the public or the public info session.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
happy to answer those questions. Yeah, thank you. There's two additional variances that we'll be coming with, and both are quite minor and technical. The first is that we're having to shift the building back slightly just to give us the required clearance to the high voltage lines there, and that clearance is required by BC Hydro. So the whole building is getting shifted back just very slightly. And then the other one is that some of the pitches in the roof were having to be altered just to comply with fire protection standards and sprinklering and things like that. And that's all dictated by sort of the fire flow, the existing fire flow there on Main Street. So the building is getting slightly shorter and slightly pushed back. And those are the two additional variances we'll be requesting.
Okay, thanks, Zach.
Go ahead, Jen.
Through the chair, if I may, corroborate what proponent just advises. Technically speaking, the scope of the variance that they are looking for would remain exactly the same. But the necessity for the amendment has been arise because of notification matter for the DPP specifies the exact number of the variance so that the applicable affected property owners to be advised the scope of the variance and its magnitude. So it's going to be a change in law. The technical scope of the variance will remain the same.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, through the chair. And so, yes, we've advertised these and I can say people have come in and viewed what we've advertised. So if that's changed, that's why we would need a second variance coming through.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other comments? All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Okay, development variance permit number 24-156-DVP 898 and 906 Roma Crescent. Nicole, do you want to take this away?
Sure, yes. So
we're looking at 898 and 906 Crescent.
big recommendation here. It's only for one variance to the zoning bylaw and it's for the rear setback. And they're looking to go from 5 meters to 2 meters. And we'll talk about that.
So this is the property here, or I should say properties.
It was recently subdivided into 2 separate titles and a duplex is proposed with a pony wall or a shared wall on the lot line. It's currently designated residential low density in the OCP, and then it's zoned R1, 1 and 2 residential. Okay, so the DBP is required to relax the rear lot line setback to accommodate a proposed duplex. And the required is 5 meters, and they're asking for 2 meters. And then if the development variance permit is successful, then it's going to go on to the building permit stage. And they've already submitted their application and are working through some of those requirements, but that the approval of the building permit is based on this DBP. And then we've taken this to the Planning and Development Committee, and we had a number of resolutions just to get it right. Originally, the developer was asking for 1.5 meter rear setback. And after some discussion about emergency services, maybe heat pumps, things like that, that could be located at the back end of the lot. It was decided that at a minimum, if they proposed 2 meters instead of 1.5 meters, that then we could take it to council for a decision. And the developer was on the line for the Planning and Development Committee and has agreed to 2 meters. So that's what's being proposed today. And then on the next slide, there isn't a next slide. We did get 2 formal responses in and they were added to the agenda, and both of them were not in favor of the variance. They felt like the 2 meters was too tight.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So there is a recommendation that council authorize the district of Sycamus to issue a development variance permit number 24-156 DVP for the properties legally described as lots 1 and 2, section 6, township 22, range 7, west of the 6th meridian, Kamloops division of Yale Plan EPP 132-099, 898 and 906 Rama Crescent to vary district of Sycamus zoning bylaw number 1000-2022, subsection 6. Principal building setback under R1, 1 and 2 unit residential, relax the rear setback from the required 5 meters to 2 meters to accommodate the construction of a duplex. Could I get a mover? Councillor Bailey, Councillor Bushel. Anyone want to make some comments on this? Councillor Bushel?
The chair, Nicole, the opposition to the variances, don't need any names or anything, but is it neighboring properties or just somebody in the vicinity?
Yeah, I believe one is directly neighboring and then another within that 50-meter radius.
Councillor Beach, do you have your hand up?
No.
Okay, anyone else? Councillor Bailey?
Yeah, we took a look at this pretty closely at planning and development, and I don't think you don't have any renderings because it's not part of the variances, but it looks like a really nice kind of property that's thoughtfully put out. We had concerns in terms of that setback, but when we looked at it, I think everybody who looked at it, and I think we might have spent a good 45 minutes on it, that 2 meters would work and we'd end up with a really nice duplex in that area that would really add to the whole community and neighborhood feel. So I definitely support the variance.
Okay. Anyone else have any comments? Okay, let's call the question. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, Agricultural Land Commission application number 100719 1500 Sadnicki Road.
Okay, yeah. Okay, thanks.
Through the chair. So this is a non-farm use application to the ALC that's been sent over to us. It requires a council resolution, and so I'll walk through that. The property here is located at 1500 Stadnicki, and under the OCP, it's currently designated rural. And it's zoned A1, Agriculture and Resource Management. Okay, so the proponent has submitted, yes, the non-farm use application to the ALR. Whoa. And the proposal is to have 10 RV camping spaces on the property. And their intent is to have the 10 camping spaces and the people that are in those spaces would farm the land so that the land could, or not farm the land, they could log the land so that the land could be farmed. Next slide, thanks. Okay, so they had originally come to the planning team and asked if they could have 10 RV sites, and it sounds like they can, except the spaces should be to accommodate agritourism activity and agritourism accommodation. And so it's important to note right now, the property is quite large. There is a home on the lot and then mainly treed. So the agricultural piece is missing here, but we'll talk about that on the next slide. Okay, so a couple things to think about before supporting this or not. So the ALC uses the BC assessment classification, to see if it is, I guess, farmland or used as farmland. And right now the property is not assessed as farm. It was in 2007, but right now it's residential. And that would make sense because there's a home on the lot and it's mostly treed, not too much agricultural activity coming, but that doesn't mean it can't be used for that. So we're kind of missing that piece right now.
And then on the next slide, Bianca.
So it's, I wouldn't say it's a backwards approach, but usually when someone comes to do the 10 RV sites or agritourism, the agricultural piece is already there. So they're trying to get there. And so they'll do the 10 sites for people to live there and log the land. And then they would have the agricultural activity come in later. So it is a little bit backwards, but I can see you got to start somewhere. But ideally, you would have those activities on the lot already, and then you would have people come there and enjoy the farming activities and do whatever, I guess, kind of agritourism would be on that property. And so, I'm gonna look at my last note on the slide, thanks. So it's, yeah, the ideal approach would be a little bit easier to support as far as the planning team is concerned, but we can see what their rationale is behind it. So next slide. So yeah, we did take it to the Planning Development Committee, of course, and they recommended that council support the non-farm use application. And if it is supported tonight, we'll notify the ALC, and then the ALC will continue with the review of their application. And ultimately, it's their decision if this would be supported or not.
Thanks, Nicole. So there's recommendation of the District of Sycamus Council authorize submission of Agricultural Land Commission application number 100719 to the Agricultural Land Commission for the property legally described as legal subdivision 5, section 5, township 22, range 7, west of the 6th meridian, Kamloops Division, Yale District. Accept plan NEP 88606 1500 Stednicki Road. Can I get a mover? Councillor Rich, Councillor Beach, and discussion. Councillor Rich.
Through the chair, Nicole, I'm just a bit confused on this one. So they want 10 RV lots, like when they're doing tourism, but then you're saying living. So those 10 people are living there year round, those 10 RVs? So it's not really tourism, it's.
Yeah, through the chair. So, yeah, so ideally, if the land was logged and there was some type of farming activity, people would come there and stay temporary and enjoy that agritourism piece. I don't know what that would be like. I don't know, farmer's market or like animals, something. But right now, yes, people would come there to stay longer, I would say, than a temporary. They're there to log the land so that they can get to that stage of the temporary use and enjoying agritourism. So, yes.
So we're voting for them to have 10 full-time RV live-in spots, 10 extra people will live there full-time.
Yeah.
And do they have sewer and electrical?
Sorry,
Yeah, it's on there.
could I interject? It is Phil Hines here putting in this proposal.
Oh, hi.
Must be the owner.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm the owner. Yeah, no, it is just a matter of creating extra income to allow the logging to create a better farming environment for agritourism, but it is not to live there year round and have long-term residents.
Thank you.
So I guess my question would be, what's the conversion plan? Like, so maybe I'm not getting this. So we've got 10 RVs. Short-term people are going to move in. They're not annual, and they're going to clear the land.
No, they won't
when-
be, sorry, they won't be clearing the land. I'll be taking care of that myself with a contractor or whatever it takes. It's just a matter of it takes money to be able to clear the land. Right now, there's approximately 10 acres that is farmable, that could be hayland. And I'm just looking to create more agricultural land. As per the ALR regs, it says that you can do 10 RV lots, or you could do 10 cabins to help to promote the farming and the agriculture aspect of the land.
Go ahead, Nicole.
Through the chair, I think then we had a misunderstanding at the Planning and Development Committee meeting because it sounded like these people were going to be employed to log the land.
No.
To be able to farm it.
Oh, yeah, there's definitely a miscommunication there.
Maybe.
Councillor Bailey.
Yeah, so my recollection of this was, we did have quite a few questions on this. There was questions about, the cart before the horse. I mean, we're trying to do an agricultural business here, but it's almost very similar to the temporary use permit we did here on Main Street to allow the eventual development of the Paradise site. So it's kind of the same logic. So the committee kind of looked at it as like, okay, if we want this to actually develop into some sort of tourism business, then to give him the ability to have extra income, we would support the 10 temporary
Rentals.
campsite rentals as a way to generate the revenue. And so after we've flushed it out, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Deb, we just felt that that was an okay trade-off. We've kind of council did it before. And so this was a similar approach in this regard.
Okay, okay. Gordy, do you want to add something?
Yeah, thanks to the chair. And right now, the property is not being utilized at all. It's just basically a forest. And basically he wants to, clear, take it down to agricultural land and start a business basically. So, and I think it's a great idea myself.
Well, thanks for the clarification. I was like a little confused. Okay, Kelly, go ahead.
Yeah, and further to that, we don't even get the say.
That's right.
It has to go to the ALR.
Yeah.
And we don't know if they will bless it or not, and how strict they are with which comes first.
Okay. I have a first and a seconder on that, right? Sorry, I forgot. Okay, so I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next is change the hours of liquor service, Old Town Bay Marina Pub, 200 Old Town Road West. I am not in conflict, but I don't want the optics of it because I'm out there. So Gord, do you want to take the chair on this one? Thank you.
It'll be,
It's gonna be quick. By the time we get to the door.
yeah, that's pretty much it.
Wait, I'll do this.
We did this for fun, so, yeah.
Okay, where are we? Okay, Nicole, do you want to go through this first?
Through the chair. So, yes, we did just do one of these at the last regular council meeting for Brothers Tavern. And now we've got the Old Town, or 200 Old Town Road request sorted out. And so this is the property, of course, 200 Old Town Road. The current hours, as confirmed by the applicant, were 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 7 days a week. And they're proposing to extend that a bit. So we're looking at opening those liquor sales at 8:30 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. They're also looking for the earlier breakfast and lunch clientele and just a little bit later service in the evening. So similar proposal to a couple weeks ago, except for this is the 200 Old Town Road.
Thank you, Nicole. I'll read the recommendation and then we'll have discussion. Recommended that the District of Sycamoose Council allow the Liquor and Cannabis Regulation Branch to proceed with conducting a formal public input for the proposed change of hours of liquor service for liquor primary license held at 200 Old Town Road West, Old Town Bay Marine Pub by choosing to opt out of the process. May I have a mover? Ian, seconder, Malcolm? Okay, discussion. Go ahead, Ian.
Yeah, more of a clarification. I think it was to move it to 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Actually, I saw on the application, because unless things have changed, I don't think you can serve liquor before 9 a.m. in BC. So I just want to pull up the application here, just so we're 100% correct. Because I'm pretty sure right now, liquor primary pubs usually go from 11 a.m. to whatever. But I just want to make sure excuse me. Yeah, it says the application is, oh, you're right, 7 days to 8:30 to 9:30 p.m.
Maybe they.
We'll also have to deal with the liquor branch.
Yeah,
Yeah, because we're opting out anyways.
Yeah, we're just opting out of the process.
okay, interesting.
Any other questions?
No, I guess not. The only thing I would just say is the staff is maybe double check that. I think we could still opt out. I mean, it's not a problem. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for picking that up, Ian. Anybody else? Okay. And all those in favor? Carried. All right, thank you. Okay, Colleen's coming back in.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, 2024 property tax collection update for information. Bianca, take it away.
Yes, so our property taxes were due July 2nd, 2024, including homeowner grants. So just going over our stats for this year, very similar to last year. Current taxes outstanding, so those that didn't pay their taxes on time, or didn't claim their homeowner grant on time, 8.73%. So which we levy a 10% penalty on those. And then we also, so for the rest of our outstanding currently, we do have deferment, so those that go through the province to defer their taxes, doing a lower interest loan on that. 40,000, so slightly up, well, decently up from last year. We have our arrears taxes, so this was last year's taxes outstanding, and our delinquent taxes, which is 2 years outstanding. So we'll star next to that. So delinquent taxes, we're required to take them to tax sale at the end of September. Now with the new statutory holiday at the end of September, it's actually going to be the first Monday in October. But we'll, as a finance group, we'll be starting our tax sale collections on that now. And up from last year, this is mostly just, we have a couple bigger accounts on there, not so much the amount of them. So, yeah, and then a few other just stats here. Credit cards are getting used a lot more, so total last year was 153,000. We've already surpassed that with taxes, and we haven't even sent out our July utility bills. So that's up a lot. And online payments were used around the same amount, around 41% this year. Which is, sorry, more than 40%. So only 41% of taxes were paid by check, debit, or cash. So more and more people are using online options. Overall, really successful tax plate collections, no significant problems. Our communications team helped out. I'm not sure if you guys have watched, but I included a little video that we put out, just reminding people to pay their property taxes on time. And then one other interesting thing here. So where do our tax notices go? Pulling the data from BC Assessment on where all of our mailings have gone to. So we have 2,800 property folios in the district, and we send out about just over 3,000 copies of those because some have multiple owners. So where did they go? Top communities, 48% Sycamoose, over 15% just Calgary alone, and then Edmonton, some in Salmon Arm. So our top provinces, 62% are staying within the province of BC, 36% going to Alberta, and one left the continent and it went to Denmark. But just some interesting facts about, you know, who owns property in Sycamoose and where are those notices getting mailed to. Yeah, and if anyone has any questions.
Thanks, Bianca. Yeah, I saw the post of get your taxes mailed off. It was pretty good. It was good. These posts are good. Any comments from council? Go ahead, Council Bushel.
Yeah, through the chair, it looked like 14 new residents is what we had last year, I think.
Folios?
Folios, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And I guess probably everybody's collecting points using their
On
visa.
their visas.
Yeah, they pay a 2.5% fee when they use the online, so those that get more in points, I guess it's good to use that.
Yeah,
It's nice because it doesn't cost us anything.
Yeah.
Right?
well, good work, Bianca. Thank you.
Okay, let's carry on. Notices, resolutions, correspondence for information. Does everyone had a look at that? Is there anything that anyone wants to speak to? Counselor Bushel.
I didn't bring my iPad, but
Yeah.
there was one up there that needed our support. I forget which one.
Light up blue for prostate
Uh,
cancer.
Not down.
UBCM policy. Shuswap watershed annual
It's just the annual
report.
Report.
That was it. That's all I've got. Go ahead, Gord.
Through the chair. Last meeting we had, we lost the power and I had a question there, but we kind of, because we lost the power, we kind of jumped. But we didn't, I didn't get to comment on the CSRD one from last, I think it was your meeting in Golden. And I wanted to ask Pam, and maybe Pam or yourself could next time you're at a GAC meeting or whatever it is called. I was just concerned.
Round table?
You guys requested $111,000 for the funding, the 1 kilometer in Sycamores.
Yeah, our jurisdiction, just
But 2 years ago, we had approved a $230,000 through our economic opportunity fund. And that 2 years ago, we made a motion and that we would approve them to access the economic opportunity fund to build the section between 0 and 19 kilometers. That obviously has changed now, because some of the numbers that are coming in are pretty wonky. So I'm just wondering if you could, try to get a number. Like, I'm not sure, because if you look at the numbers, they just announced one today. They're gonna start in Armstrong and it's 1,040 meters, 643,000. That's $618 a meter.
Yeah.
Which is pretty high. And the one, the interview test section was $355 a meter, and it had an extra utilities and some other stuff in there, which made it go up that high, because in the beginning, they've always said that it's gonna cost about $160 to $200 a meter. Well, we're approaching 618 for one meter.
Yeah.
So next time you're in a,
1 kilometer
for 1 kilometer, yeah.
1 meter.
Well,
or 1 meter. Oh, 600. Okay, I'm sorry.
yeah, it's 6, so, and I can, it just seems something's off. Something's off compared to what we,
Agreed to in the beginning.
yeah.
I didn't have anything to do with that 111.
Yeah,
Oh, that was-
can you just send that to me and I'll deal with it, okay?
Yeah,
I'll see if I can find that for you.
through the CSRD.
No, but we missed it we jumped through a correspondence the last time because we lost power.
Last correspondence.
Yeah, so
I'll take.
can you take a look at that? Okay, perfect.
I noticed that the proclamations, item is on here. And I know I had asked if we could talk about it. Is that why it's on here? Proclamations, like.
It has to do with light up in blue. It goes with, yeah,
Okay.
that's why it's on.
All right, because I had asked if we could look at making certain things. It's on our to-do list. Okay, all right, I'm just checking because
Anything else? Okay, we are going to, sorry.
Oh, I wasn't sure if are we doing the committee stuff now, or were we doing it all as one?
We can do the committee stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, go
Sorry, I was just gonna point out, because I think it's actually quite important, I read it, is the downloading from the province, from the psychiatric ward to the Vernon Hospital, in which we pay a portion of our through CSRD. Just another kind of comment where municipal taxes are now starting to go directly into a larger and larger extent healthcare provisions and helping to run hospitals. Not saying this isn't a good thing, but as a municipality, we have very limited ways in order to raise or collect monies. And now we're taking what's a pretty clunky system, property taxes, and we're starting to increasingly put that into our healthcare system. And the most recent thing through Vernon was that the province announced that they're going to do psychiatric, I think, inpatient, and they're gonna build that out at Vernon, which we are then responsible for a certain portion of through CSRD. And that was done without any consultation with any of the municipal partners, but that will directly affect our tax base and what we have to pay as well. So I just wanted to point that out, that I think this is a bit of a problem going forward. Like I said, we don't have any other mechanism in order to tax people other than property taxes, and the province is increasingly, I guess, going through that route.
Yep, thank you. Yeah, it was pointed out, and you're right. It's just province is downloading, everything. We can see it in housing, we can see it in healthcare, we can, I mean, we're fortunate that we purchased our healthcare center when we did. We have healthcare, we wouldn't have it. So they are just downloading everything to us. So yeah, it was brought up. It's a hot topic. Yeah.
It's a worthwhile project, but it's just like, if we are going to start using the property tax system for direct payments or helping payments for things like that.
Absolutely.
It's a very limited pool that we can actually tax and raise our own money. So if we're gonna use it for that, then we're gonna have stresses in that system.
Absolutely. Okay, any more comments on that? Okay, we're going to adjourn our regular council meeting and go back into in camera. So thanks everyone for coming out. Thanks for those online. Bob, you're gonna have to spin out of this one and into. Thanks, you guys. Oh, sorry. Did you have? Hi, June.